It helps if I unmute things. I got the feedback thing happening, and I was clicking stuff like crazy. But I'm here to bring you the best darn show I know how to give you. It's packaged with love. Every episode, plumb full of my love for you. And thank you all for coming and being part of it, even when I forget to unmute my own self. It's been known to happen a few times. You'd think through the years of doing the show I would have it all nailed. No. I'm still just an idiot with a microphone after all these years, but by God, I love doing it, and I love that all you guys show up to be a part of it. So thank you all. Can you all hear me okay, first of all? Is everybody hearing me now? Can you hear me now? Let me know. Type in the chat, the YouTube chat I have up on my screen. I will be looking, because otherwise I'm just an idiot. Bigger idiot than I thought. No, thank you, John. John says, yep. Getting a lot of yeses. Okay, good. All right. Then I guess we can progress forward into our journey. And our journey tonight is going to bring us right back into the heart of the paranormal portal and into this all the strange oddities and wonders that we so love here. Quick thing right up front, if you use TikTok, then follow me over there. Let me look. I don't even know what. Oops, hold on. I want to see. What is my... So I think my TikTok thing is at Paranormal Portal. So I think that's what it is. So if you do at Paranormal Portal in TikTok, or just search for Paranormal Portal, all one word, you should find it. So I just did a new video just a little bit ago on TikTok, and it's really, it just went... It's gotten a lot of attention right away, which is really, really cool. But it has to do with cleansing evil spirits. And so I don't know if you're familiar with TikTok or if you use it. I know that some people are like, oh, TikTok. It's like, well, I'm sure all the apps we're using are looking at what we're doing. I don't think that's exclusive to TikTok. And, quite honestly, if you use them for entertainment and for having fun, then I don't see the harm. If you're trying to trade your deepest, darkest things, then if you're using an online format for that, then you're not making the best choice anyway. So I like TikTok. I think it's fun. I don't do a lot on there, but I'm starting to. And so that's why if you are using TikTok or have TikTok, then by God, tick my talk. If you I don't even know if that's how you say it. I'm such a noob as far as a lot of social media is concerned, but I've been at it since MySpace days, really. So I've been on social media for quite a long time, but sure, I have a good time with it. If I use it for the shows and to raise awareness of the shows and what we're doing here. So I hope that you guys will check it out. If you haven't already, Chasing Mountain Builders, I'll tick your I know, it's probably a stupid thing to say, right? Well, if I had a nickel for everything dumb I said into these microphones, man, I'd already be retired. I'd be a rich person. I'd be on a media empire probably for that point. But at any rate, we're going to be doing the news here in just a few minutes, or a minute or less. I don't know when the hell. Whenever I push the buttons, that's when we're doing the news. And then following the news, my incense is going right in my eyes. Jesus. I'm using dragon's blood tonight, and I love the smell of it. It's just I don't love it when it goes right towards my face. God's sakes. I don't need that in my eyeballs. I get like the burning eyes from my incense, so I put it behind the monitor a little more. Maybe that'll help. Nope, it's just curling right around the monitor, coming right at me. There's definitely a current that's pushing it towards my face. I got a fan running here in the studio because it gets kind of balmy. So anyway, Paranormal Portal, there's other TikTok channels that other creators' videos. Some put watermarks so that the original creators are known. Yeah, I don't know so much about it. You're right. I'm sure you're probably right. I don't know. I'll have to look into that, or we'll have to talk via messaging later so I understand exactly what you're saying. But yeah, if somebody's that hell-bent on ripping off my stuff, then, whatever. I still think, the reason I do those videos, other than showing my cats and stuff, which has been on a few of them, but I like to talk about, I did one on the Ouija board, I did one on the whole topic of demons, I did one on Why Am I Haunted, and now I've done one on cleansing, and you know, I think it's information that's good to have out there. So I love the cats. Oh, thanks. The green sage. Thank you. I appreciate that. Have you checked out those? I got great cats. They're funny little furry bastards, but they came into my house and went right into my heart. So, I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, I'd love your support over there. And also on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called now, and Facebook, of course. So anywhere you can find it. My cat is a damn jerk. I know, but there's also the belief that cats are actually good, as far as having a foot in both worlds, this world and the spiritual world. And they seem to be aware of things. I've caught my cats looking around and following something that I can't see. Even in the dead of winter, when there's not like bugs flying around, they'll just be like watching something going. I'll watch where they're watching, and I don't know what they're seeing, but they're seeing something. So I like cats. The cats are whatever. I love dogs too. Don't get me wrong. I'm an animal lover, but anyway, I'm a nature spirit. I think, at least I pretend to be. I play one on TV. All right. So anyway, let's get to the news and find out I pulled up 3 articles. Yeah, 3 articles tonight on the news. We'll see if I can pull them ad free or if I got to copy the links again and put them in the Brave browser to strip out all that fluffy crap. But we'll see. So let me mute this line and pull up the news. Well, that's really interesting. I just learned something about my sound problems right now as I was sitting here. Even though I had my mic line muted, it was still doing that echoey space noise. And so I definitely know that it's in my production software, which is good to know because I've had sound anomalies now for about a week or just over a week, and it's driving me freaking crazy. Some of those, what? Okay, so it says it just lets viewers know. Rachel's talking about the watermark thing. It just lets viewers know the original creators, some of those are borrowed TikToks, get millions of views on those other channels. The original creators deserve the views. You're right. No, I appreciate it. One thing I'll tell you is that I did it right here in my chair, so at least part of the background is in there. I hope it'll say Paranormal Portal, at least Paranormal something. I don't remember if my head was blocking it out or not, but anyway. Did you fix the OBS issue, Brent? No, not quite yet. I don't think it's... I do know it's in OBS, though, now. Right now, I just figured that out. So, no, I haven't fixed anything yet. I didn't have any chance today to work on it. I've just been absolutely slammed. So, I'm doing my best to keep up. The only news I trust, John Stevenson says. Exactly. So, let's get into this news you trust, John, and talk about some more of the Paranormal Portal news from our news desk right here, which is... exactly the same desk that I was using before. All right, let's go to the first article here. Hopefully it'll come up good and nice for us. But this one's coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, folks. Oh, there's that damn ad. What are they doing? What are they doing with this garbage? That just frosts my flakes again. I don't know. I try to be creative in my cussing because I don't want to be inappropriate completely, but I do want to express my rage when things go absolutely sideways, and it's like, why? So I'm gonna have to use this one again. I do apologize. I know that a lot of it maybe wasn't as visible, but let me put it up and see what happens here. And then I'm gonna put up this. I gotta just size this up quick, folks. I'm sorry. They just started doing this ad crap on these ads that they have to pop up. They don't like give you a choice, and especially if you pull a window out, and it's absolutely frustrating as hell. But let me pull up this so I can see if it's going to be on screen. Okay, not really, is it? Let me shrink that way down. There we go. I think that'll be a little better. There we go. All right. We'll do it that way. All right, so here's the first one up from unexplained-mysteries.com. Man builds insane replica of Short Circuit's Johnny 5 in his garage. Now, is this paranormal? No, it's just really cool. So outside of being a paranormal geek, I'm also just kind of a geek in many different areas, especially like, science fiction and pop culture and stuff to a degree. So this guy made a Johnny 5. Look at that. That's outstanding. And if you watch the movie WALL-E, you can tell that WALL-E was even modeled in some regards after Johnny 5 from Short Circuit. It's an old movie, I think from the 80s, but it was really well done, and it was fantastic. So, yeah, it says the popular 1980s movie robot has been brought back to life thanks to the tireless efforts of Ryan Howard. The 34-year-old, who hails from Nottinghamshire, England, began working on life-size functional replica of the iconic movie robots during lockdown. Well, that's a way to utilize your time. Well played, sir. Like his choice of fashion, too. That's actually pretty much how I dress. Except he'd have flip-flops on. Then it would be me. Might as well be me standing there. It said, despite Howard having no experience building something this complex, the end result is barely distinguishable from the original Johnny 5, who was first introduced in the 1986 film Short Circuit. The robot is even capable of moving like its on-screen counterpart, with working tank treads, movable arms, eyebrows, and neck, as well as the ability to speak with the same voice. Oh, Johnny 5. Howard admits that he lost count of exactly how much the project cost, but there's no denying the impact it has had on video clips going viral and people queuing up to meet the robots. I've never done anything like this before, he said, and I'm very proud of it. Well, he should be. What channel is this from? Johnny 5 Replica. He's got his own channel, so I guess we'll just check it out for those of you that are listening live on TFR or the affiliates there. Sorry you can't see this, but head over to Paranormal Portal on YouTube and you can watch live as it happens. So let's take a look at the video. And there's no sound. Of course not. Because I'd have to mute me. Well, we're not going to hear it as much as see it. I'll put a link into the chat for any of you that want to check out the video with the sound. But yeah, I was looking around. That's pretty cool. That had to have been kind of spendy, though. You know this guy blew some cash on this, but I guess if you're sitting home in lockdown, what else are you going to do? I can't remember. Did Johnny 5 have a bandana on then, or is that a shortcut to covering some stuff he didn't want to be shown? I don't remember. I don't recall that part of the movie. But that is really cool. Wow. How about that, folks? Yeah, I mean, you can see the WALL-E influence, or the Johnny 5 influence on the WALL-E model. So that's really cool. Wow, that's pretty spectacular. It's funny. Wow, he did a great job, so good for him. There it is, folks. Johnny 5's come to life in the garage of this man's house, I guess. Yeah, it's a great thing. I wonder where you got the treads for that. That's pretty spectacular. You got those tank treads or something. I mean, I suppose you could make them, but what a cumbersome project that would be all by itself. So fantastic. Well done, sir. Whoever you are, you did great. So not just a figment of our popular culture or imaginations anymore, folks. It's now the real deal. I got to cut this link and pop it over here and paste it. And we'll be just in time for our next article. So some people, I don't know if I should say this exactly as I'm thinking it, but everybody's heard the term a coiled steamer. I think that, if you don't know what that means, it's basically another way of identifying a defecation of sorts, or But here's a story of a woman that came home and found a different kind of coiled steamer. And it's not the kind I'm sure many of us would like to find. But let's get to this story. You know you're getting the top-notch news on this channel. That's all I'm saying. I'm so sorry. I should apologize in advance. All right, this one is unexplained-mysteries.com brings a story of a woman who returns home to find a snake curled up in her toilet. Where is that? Where's that one? Where is it? There it is. That's right. A snake in her toilet. I don't know if this is an actual picture of her toilet, but that is a snake. A woman who'd been away for a 4-day trip returned to her home to find an unexpected visitor in the bathroom. Yikes. If there's one thing you don't want to find emerging from the U-bend, it's a reptile with a penchant for sinking its fangs into your posterior, but that's exactly what Michelle Lesbron discovered after returning home to her home in Tucson, Arizona back in July. The encounter later went viral when a local snake removal company posted up a clip on social media. So they were like, ooh, opportunity's knocking. Get the camera. It said, I'd been gone for 4 days and was looking forward to using my own restroom in peace, Lesbron told Associated Press. I lifted up the lid and he or she was all curled up. Everybody has the same reaction. Oh my God, that's my worst nightmare. Fortunately, a handler was eventually able to remove the black and pink coach whip snake from the bathroom. Was able to capture the moment on camera with his phone. You bet he was. The 3 to 4 foot serpent was later released back into the wild a good distance from the house. So, what the hell's a coach whip snake? Catch called in as a rattlesnake seen in the toilet after 3 visits. Was able to finally took 3 visits after over 2 days. Was able to finally get his hands on it. A beautiful black and pink coach whip. I don't know. Is that a venomous snake? What the hell is a coach whip? I guess we could find out. Let me see. I'm going to just Google that up. Is a coach whip snake poisonous? Poisonous. Oops, no, there's no E at the end of poisonous. Coach whip is a member of the whip snake genus. They are very long, slender, non-venomous snakes native to the Americas. Basically, because of how common they are, it's easy to accidentally come across one in the wild. Unfortunately, they pose little danger to people outside of perhaps coronary embolisms or something like that. Heart attacks or stroking out. But yeah, how about that? Found a snake in the toilet. Well, there you go. After 2 days and 3 visits, they said? 2 days. After 3 visits over 2 days. It took that long to get this snake out of the toilet. Well, there you go, folks. Again, bet you didn't hear that on the local news. Or unless you live in Arizona, maybe you did. But that's because of the hard work that I go to bring you the best and most powerful news from sources all over the world, as it were. Mostly unexplained-mysteries.com, but you know what I'm saying. So there you go. That's a coach whip snake. We all learned not only do they apparently show up in toilets, but they are non-venomous. You're welcome. All right, let's get to the last one, which isn't this one. That's the one I just read, which is this one. Because I thought this had already happened, but apparently it hasn't already happened, but it has now. And maybe it's how they're defining where they actually visited, but I didn't know that it was brand new news, but it's brand new news again if it wasn't already. So here you go from unexplained-mysteries.com. Virgin Galactic sends first tourists up to the edge of space. See, I thought they already did this, though. I thought that was maybe this is Virgin Galactic's first one, but it was already done by, I don't know, who was it? Bezos's thing that looked like a big phallic symbol up there. Sending that up to space. The mission saw the firm's first ever space tourist fly 55 miles up into the sky during a flight lasting around 60 minutes. It's a day that many thought would never happen, but after years of struggles and setbacks, Virgin Galactic has finally succeeded in launching its first ever tourist to the edge of space. Joining yesterday's flight was John Goodwin, a former Olympian who had purchased his ticket for $200,000 all the way back in 2005. Oh my God, way to be patient. At the time, he was the 4th person ever to do so. Now 80 and suffering from Parkinson's disease, Goodwin had doubted that he would ever go up, but now at last his dream has come true. When I signed up, I didn't have Parkinson's, he said. And when 9 years ago I contracted the disease, I thought that's the end of me going into space. They've done various health checks, but they never stopped me doing what I wanted to do. They need an enormous amount of credit for that. Also on the flight were mother and daughter Keisha Shahoff and Anastasia Mayers, who won the seats in a prize draw. They were joined by pilots C.J. Sturkow and Kelly Latimer, as well as astronaut instructor Beth Moses. You can check out the full flight in the video below. Yeah, I'm sure it's amazing. I mean, it's fantastic and wonderful, no doubt about it. I think that's really cool because it just brings it a little bit closer to the rest of us. Everything starts out expensive, but the Telegraph has a full video there for you. And if you're interested in watching them go up near the edge of space and then come back, then cool. But we're not going to spend our time on that here in the portal. So there you go. More fantastic news. We're closer to going to space than ever before. Won't be long. There'll be Millennium Falcons and stuff parked in your neighborhood. And I mean, could you imagine how cool that would be? Like, interstellar space travel, or space travel in general just was normal. Like, you get in your car and you run to the store. Well, you could just go up to, a moon base and, hang out for a weekend or something. That sounds pretty exciting. I look forward to the advent of those things in normal life. I don't know if I'll live to see them, but I look forward to them all the same. Who knows? It's hard to say. Oh, all right. Paradox Fossils remembered. Outstanding. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your love and support. Outstanding. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the news. Let's get back to the rest of the show. Oh my God, that's so annoying. It's really ruined my professional workflow here. Everything has to be very deliberate and edgy now, where I can't just do things in the slide of a hand or a push of a button. I got to do everything very, very manually and deliberate in order to make it work. So anyway, there you go. I can close this off. What is this? Oh, more people are checking out that video. Very cool. That's kind of exciting. I mean, it's 688 people now. God bless you. All you 688 people. But definitely could use more followers. I don't have a whole lot of followers, but I'm getting a lot of views. So very cool. That's checking out the news video on TikTok that I was talking about. With getting rid of your evil spirits or cleansing. Some tips. Some things to think about. And things that I've said on the show millions of times. So it's maybe for many of you guys not a real big revelation, but still. I hope it helps those that are looking for some guidance on the issue or some information. I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert, but I definitely have my opinions, and I think that they're thoughtful. I think my opinions are thoughtful and well considered. I don't think that I just pull things out of my butt cheek and just throw them out there. Yeah. I do research the hell out of this stuff, believe it or not. So, and have for years and years. Okay, so that brings us to our next part of the show, which is another wonderful part of the show. And this is, of course, where we get into our Discord and we see what you guys think. Chucky didn't post one today because we had a little mix up in communication regarding the topic tonight and what was going to be happening on the show. So that didn't get posted until much later, but thank you to those of you who have responded at any rate since then. Sorry, I'm still a little mucusy and gross, but it's getting better every day. I'll tell you what, though. Not that this is show worthy and even important, but I was absolutely floored. I actually slept, literally slept 12 hours last night and today. I woke up way, way later than I usually do, and I was like, oh my God. And I was still tired. I was like, oh, maybe I needed the sleep. I know I don't normally sleep well. I'm really tossy and turny and up and down and stuff. So when I get those one solid nights of sleep, it's just like, wow. So I was pretty blown away by that. But that was last night. I don't know what was going on. As a lunar phase or something going on in my biorhythm. But man, I knocked out hard for sure. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, so again, we're going to get to the Discord question of the week, folks. So without further ado, let's get into it. I don't know what we're going to be able to do here. All right, so here's the intro part. Rawr. I'm not going to do the Spader, so it's rawr. Okay, there you go. That's the visual effect. And here, of course, is our Discord. I should have put this up already. But let me do this. To join the Paranormal Portal Discord, https://discord.gg/paranormal portal. Boom. Okay. We'll let that get up there. And I'll put a smiley face so it jacks it up above. And I can hopefully pin it. There it goes. Now it's pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. So if you want to join our Discord, we'd love to have you there. If you haven't already. Hold on, got a cough. Clearing the pipes, as it were. All right, so we've got some new people that joined last night. Again, it was I Am Pam and Rick Bull showed up last night and joined, so thank you guys for doing that. Appreciate it a bunch, but here we go. We're on question of the week, and it's got a few replies, so gotta love that. All right, so, even more. There we go. Question of the week. Are you ready? Good to see. Here goes. And again, thank you to everybody that participated in this. Again, there wasn't a lot of time, and I apologize for that, but I appreciate the fact that so many of you actually made it happen anyway. So thank you for that. So the question of the week for Saturday's show: if you suddenly passed away and were a spirit and had to remain earthbound, where would you choose to haunt and why? So we got a whole spectrum of responses here. Some funny, some kind of sad, actually. The first one was from Ariana, and she says, my ex, because he's a real jerk and deserves it. She just goes right for the throat. So that's always an option. Those exes, I tell you. They can sure get the ire of us. Not all exes, though. Some exes are absolutely fine and fantastic, and others, I think, could be part Satan. I'm not sure. I've got a few of those. No, I don't really. For the most part, most of my exes are just, parts of my life and stuff. But there's one or two out there that, God, they sure don't like me none. All right, the next one is from Terrence, and this one's kind of this one's a tragic one. And I was like, God, how do I read this? Because, I'm sorry. And I know some people have had just a hard, painful journey. So, but they did write this down. And so I'm going to try to read it and respond as well as I can here. The woman that poisoned me with permanent brain damage, the guy that falsely claimed I was inappropriate with a child and falsely claimed that I was, had a different gender preference, and the guy who ruined my prized custom motorcycle, all because I was a progressive in a small Alabama town. I pray most nights at 3 a.m. for horrible things to happen to them, and I always will. And, I'm really, really, really super sorry that has been your life experience. I don't know what to say. That's certainly, I don't blame you for being in pain if that's your experience, and I'm certainly hope that things can change for you and that you can get better and have better feelings about it anyway. And how, I don't know. My God, that's a whole bunch of stuff to carry. My incense is still going into my eyes. It's making them water. Oh, I can't do that before a show anymore. My God. Eesh. It's like, oh yeah, crappy bastard. It's almost done too. That's the thing. It's just about burned out, but man, it hits my eyeballs and it's like pepper spray. Sorry about that. So yeah, I am sorry to hear about that, but it doesn't fall on deaf ears. And I was like, God, can I read that? But if someone's going to put it out there, who am I to say, no, that's not going to be, well, I mean, there's some things that I wouldn't read on the show, but certainly that's somebody putting their heart out there, and my sympathies certainly go with that. Karen Alberding came back with another response and said, it would depend on a lot of things. I wouldn't necessarily haunt anyone, but I would watch over my loved ones. I were to pass before my hubby, I for sure would watch over him 24/7 to make sure he's okay. Otherwise, my children and grandchildren from time to time, and lots of them to keep me busy. I would be a protective spirit rather than a haunting one. My hubby has lots of health issues, so I would be super protective of him. Yeah, no doubt. That's a beautiful sentiment. Absolutely. Chasing Mound Builders comes back and said, I'd haunt you, Brent Thomas. Because I feel like you would enjoy it, or at a minimum, get some cool stories out of it. To add to your experiences. Nothing too creepy, just some moved objects and bumps in the night. I already get those currently, so I appreciate it. I mean, just you can join the party that seems to follow me. I'm not sure what they're all doing here, but they definitely make my life interesting. Yeah, I thought that was cute. Thank you. The more the merrier. Mound Builder CMB. Thank you. Brenda Joe comes in next and says, well, of course I would haunt one of the Paranormal Portal shows just so I could say hey to all of you. Seriously though, I just watch over my loved ones and try to communicate with them. My sister asked me if I wanted her to visit me after she passed, and I told her yeah, but don't scare the crap out of me. And she hasn't scared me. It's always a gradual thing, like when you see someone coming down the road to your house. One of my brothers who have passed does not follow that rule and will knock on my patio door or my picture window late at night. But considering what a prankster he was in life, it doesn't surprise me. When my mom comes to me, it's always in a dreamlike state, when the feeling you get when someone wakes you up with a kiss on the cheek. She also comes to me when I'm dealing with pain. I've awakened to both of my parents rubbing my legs and feet when I have an especially painful night dealing with my neuropathy in my feet and legs from chemo and restless leg syndrome. I've told my husband, thanks for the back rub this morning, my love, when I've had pain-filled sleep because of the degenerating discs, and he says, I didn't give you a back rub. They're taking care of me like they always did, and I also think it's payback for me being both of my parents' primary caregiver in their last days. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. It's wonderful to be surrounded by those loved ones and have them be so active in your life. Luna Moonicorn comes in next, says, if I was stuck, bound to one place, I'd pick a nature preserve or park by my house. If I had the option to bamf in and out, I would definitely haunt the library I work at and mess with my coworkers, travel around and see cool things, and go and check on my family. If I could communicate with others, I told my sisters I would haunt them and do reconnaissance work for them and gather info on people and things to help them in their lives and work. I'd also just cause silly problems if I had the power to move objects and make noises. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Who said this one? The name's gone. I can't remember who it was. Was this I don't remember. Oh, this is the Batman. I remember this because I read it earlier. It was Batman says, Margot Robbie's house, obvious reasons. It's just all up on front on it. It's like, hey, that's where I'd be. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's, I imagine, I can't blame you. All right. Anyway, Paradox Fossil comes in next, says, I would haunt the beaches of Brazil. You know why. Well, good luck for you. I hope that works out. Mel Shepherdess says, the Vatican. Keep those people on their toes. Keeping their attention to Christ's prayer. Spook some, help others, etc. I'm chaotic good. I can't help myself. Chaotic good is a good thing. I think I probably am too. Or at least I try to be. Rachel says, I'd probably haunt every library, new and used bookstore, independent art supply shops, and art galleries. Oh, and some museums too. Yeah, Rachel, you're going to get around a bunch. That's a pretty big laundry list when you think of all of them. That's fun. Was this Maggie? Yeah, I think this is Maggie's. Again, I don't know why it chops them off. Maggie says, if I were allowed the choice, I'd just hang out in the bush or in the rainforest bush by the ocean. I don't feel the need to hang around or haunt people. Just happy to spend eternity surrounded by nature. Yeah, amen. I can appreciate that. I would do probably the same. Although I've thought about places like malls and stuff like that. That'd be kind of interesting just to watch people. Or amusement parks or something like that, where people are generally happy. Just watch them and maybe have a good time, especially when, if they have a haunted mansion like at Disney. I'd probably go in there and do the real thing just to mix things up. I'm just saying. Let's see. Eric the Purple Hobbit says, I'd haunt the Paranormal Portal and mess with you. Hey, man, there's going to be a huge list of people that, if you guys pass, I'll expect the company. Chucky Danger says, I would probably choose to find a little slice of paradise with lots of wildlife to watch and enjoy my time. Maybe explore and learn all the truths of the world. Amen. I mean, if you just imagine that you were suddenly able to go anywhere, look at anything. I know I would probably be hitting the Vatican vaults and looking through all that stuff. I'd be very, very interested to hear what's down there and look, in the Smithsonian, see if I can find those bones that they've hidden all these years. I'd be doing all kinds of stuff. Area 51, man, I'm going to be busy as hell if that's the case. Chucky edits and says, I'd like to change my answer. As easy as a self-serving existence would be, I think I would rather try to do all I could to help the living. Be like a guardian angel of sorts. Even if that means just little things like making someone 5 minutes late so they avoid a car accident. That may be in their future. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, wouldn't that be something? It'd be almost like being kind of like an invisible superhero. That'd be awesome. We cover stories like that where there was this one story and I don't know if I think it was probably angelic, but in any case, a very cool story is, and I'm going to be paraphrasing the hell out of it because it was years ago that I covered this story, but I thought it was amazing. And it was, I think it was this woman or a small guy. It was a very small guy or a woman. I can't remember who was the source of the story, but they were walking through, and they worked as something to do with counseling or with the corrections or something. So they had contact with the underside of the world. But anyway, they were walking in a very dangerous area and all by themselves. And it wasn't by choice. They just kind of got stuck somewhere and had to walk through. So they were walking, and there were just crowds of these hooligans just sitting around. And there was always crimes being reported from this area. So they knew they were in a very dangerous, dark place. And so the person just was like, okay, and just kind of kept their head down and just walked. And not one person from those whole crowds of people in this very dark and horrible place bothered them. And she did look up and see like some faces as she went, just kind of keeping an eye, but she just mostly kept her head down and just got out of there. Well, allegedly, later on while they were at work doing whatever the work was, she recognized one of those faces. She said, "Oh, I remember you." And the guy said, "Oh, I remember you too." And he or she, and I can't remember, but I'll just say for the sake of this story, she said, why? I thought for sure I was going to get attacked and mugged or worse on my way through there. How come that didn't happen? And the guy said, "Are you kidding? You were walking, but walking right alongside you were two of the biggest, meanest people we had ever seen. They were huge and they looked absolutely furious. They said nobody dared get close to you." And she knows she was walking alone, but someone was there in a form that she wasn't aware of, but kept them all of these dangerous people from even thinking of getting close. Apparently these guys were giant and they were pissed looking and nobody dared get close. So true story or not, I can only tell you it's a story I've covered, but is it real? Maybe. And maybe it was a guardian angel. Maybe it was a guardian spirit. Maybe it was, I don't know, any number of things, but what a cool story. So maybe that'll be Chucky someday. Well played, Chucky. I think that's a very noble pursuit. So anyway, if any of you are not currently involved in our Discord, we'd love to have you get involved. There's more questions like this every time we do live shows that we don't have a guest. You'll be asked a question, and we'd love to have your feedback. So I don't know, where would you haunt? I mean, the list is so long for me. It's like so many things I would do. Every one of your suggestions, I think I would probably do some of those as well. So very good feedback. Thank you, guys. Yeah, Hans Holzer. Yep. Holzer was in on In Search Of. Yeah. Yeah, Hans Holzer, Tracy. Yeah, he was a pretty magnificent guy. I use a quote from him on the intro to the Paranormal Portal Investigates series of shows which will be coming. But I put one of his quotes up there, and I really believe he was a pretty fantastic guy. So, yeah, In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. Oof, that brings back some memories too. So anyway, thank you all for participating in the question of the week. I appreciate your answers. I appreciate your participation, and we'll get back to it. So let me do this. Let me just do this. Did that give you chills? Just curious. Did it work? Did that give you chills? I went right for my soul on that one. No, I got to figure out this sound thing is driving me crazy. Absolutely nuts. So, yeah, I think I got my baptism in a lot of this paranormal stuff from In Search Of. Maybe I'm dating myself, but I think a lot of you are in my generation of people. But when I was a kid, there was like literally 3 channels to pick from. That was all you had. There was like public access channel 2 was what ours was for, the PBS or whatever. That was one of them. Then there was channel 4, which was CBS, and channel 5 was ABC. Then we had channel 9, which was KMSP, which was not affiliated with a network, a major network, but it was more of a local station. Then there was channel 11, and 11 was the NBC affiliate. So literally I had 5 channels, and usually there was nothing in my interest range as far as the paranormal stuff going on, but In Search Of would come on once a week, and I would watch every one of them if I could. But yeah, nowadays, God, you go online, you got unlimited channels that you can pick from if you have cable or dish or something, you can pick from hundreds of channels. You can find something you're interested in all the time. But back when I was young, yeah, we used these things called TV guides. And that was a published, basically a schedule of shows that were on the networks. And it was a big publication for a lot of years. I don't think TV Guide's probably still around anymore because, there's so many other things that had it. Stop Complaining. We had over the air TV, 2 good stations, and 4 that would come in and out based on the weather. Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand. I mean, yeah, we had, yeah. There you go. Tracy's got the same rundown that I had, basically. We didn't have two local city stations. We just had one. This was, again, was back in Minnesota, so it was from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We had that old black and white TV. Still remember. I do too. I remember I was actually the first generation of remote control because, we had the dial thing. And so my dad would be in his recliner and, hey, turn it to this channel. He'd have the TV guide. He'd have his plot. Everything Dad wanted to watch was all laid out. And my night was watching what Dad wanted to watch and then changing the channels on command. I was a hell of a remote. I just want to say it wasn't a bad deal, but it wasn't really the shows I wanted to watch. So we only had 3 channels. Yeah. See, you guys know, you guys feel my pain We can see we're in the same generation, most of us. Some of the younger people watching are like, what? What? Really? Only 3 channels? What? Yeah, true. There was only one day of the week where you could get your cartoons on all the major networks, and it was Saturday morning. Saturday morning cartoons were the thing. Man, I went to sleep. I stayed up as late as I could on Friday and then would get, just whatever hours and be up at 6 a.m. on Saturday just so I could catch the whole spread of cartoons. I had a whole roster that I'd check out. But yeah, that was my life. Meanwhile, we actually went outside a lot more and played. We had a lot more, I think, imagination back in those days. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was the days. Those were the days. Saturday morning cartoons, me as well. Yeah, there you go, Eric. My mom worked for Magnavox, so we had a big console TV that she won in a Christmas drawing in 1977. Wow. Now, was a console TV one of those that sat in a cabinet and you had to open like the cabinet front and it was a TV, or what is that? I can't remember what consoles mean. They probably had a radio and a record player built in onto it. I remember those too. I miss running around the grass with bare feet. Not me. I do it still. Every chance I get, I go out in the bare feet. I'm always barefoot this time of year as much as I can be. I hate wearing socks and shoes. I was meant to be somewhere warm and beautiful. Just saying. I still run on the grass with bare feet. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Every chance I get. So there you go. That was the Discord question of the week. Now we're going to get to some more spookiness now that you've been down my memory lane and visited some of my past in the stories that I share. It does seem like a different world, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like we're actually on a different planet now? Because everything that was so standard and normal in our lives has changed. I mean, I remember VCRs first coming out, and that was like the coolest thing ever. That, I remember the movies that we didn't see in the theater, you had to wait for about 3 years for it to come on network television. And then you had to sit through the commercials every 15 minutes. And so, I mean, you did what you did, but the first time that VCRs came out, we lived way away from town, so we didn't have even a chance for cable when that came out, so there was no HBO or Cinemax possible. But, we would wait for them to come on TV or go to the movie theater. Well, VCRs came out, and it was like, oh my God, you can just watch what you want. Just go to a video store and get the movies and watch them in your own TV. It was like, wow. So, I mean, I remember when we first got our first TV, it was like, wow, we're watching videos at home. It was crazy. It was still, they were all reformatted to fit your screen, because they were not anamorphic widescreen like the movie theaters, but so everything was a little more obviously boxy, but it was still something, man. It was still something. So anyway, cool stories. Walk down the road. Oh, the laser disc players. Yeah. I remember those too, Eric. Yeah. Boy, it's a walk down memory lane here on the portal tonight, folks. I don't know. Funny stuff. But let's get to some more of the glitch in the Matrix stories, and then we'll head over to another article that I've got pulled up that should be a good time, and it has to do with some paranormal events, as always, because that's what we do. So we're on number 84. This again comes from moneyawaits.com. Eerie glitch in the Matrix moments. So let's see what's going on here. This is one, if you could read my mind. One time I'll go into lunch with 2 coworkers. No, we already read this one. Someone was answering a question somebody asked, but then realized they never asked it and heard it telepathically. So now we're on number 85. So let's get to that one. A miraculous vanishing act. So let's see what this one's all about. Number 85. I was traveling from Texas up to Washington State with my family. We're almost out of money, out of gas, and had no food, and we're stuck in California. Well, I sat in the car while my mom took my younger sisters to the restroom at a gas station. I was really anxious about our situation. Suddenly, the car door opened, and I looked up. This lady that I'd never seen before sat in the seat and faced me. And she said, "It seems like you're down on your luck. Take this and give it to your mom. Tell her to pay it forward someday to someone who needs it." I looked down in my hands and there was a $100 bill. I looked up to thank her, but she had already disappeared. She was nowhere in the parking lot, just vanished. When my mom came back, I told her what happened, and she cried. We got gas. There was a guy selling oranges on the side of the road, and we bought a bag and went to a local park, and we got back on the road for a few hours later. I never saw the lady again. She saved us, and we made it up to Washington to start our new life thanks to her. That was by Heather Laurie, 76. Well, that's a wonderful story. Yeah, I wish more of that stuff happened, but I'm glad that some people experience those kind of things. It's amazing. Number 86, why I never do laundry. My grandma and I both saw something really creepy in our laundry room once. One afternoon, my grandma needed a hamper, so I followed her to the laundry room, and when we opened the door, we got the fright of our lives. There was this ghostly figure in there. It looked to be about my height. I was 6 or 7 at the time, and totally black. It was slumped near the washing machine. We only saw it for a split second, enough time to register that it was there, and then it was gone. I remember Grandma saying, "Did you see that?" and then laughing it off. She got the hamper and did her things as if nothing had happened. I avoided the kitchen for a while after that. Yeah, no doubt. That was by the creepy author. So Grandma seemed like she maybe had seen it before. Like it wasn't a brand new thing to her, but number 87, a night in the woods. I was camping alone in a small one-person tent. I went to bed one night all snug and secure in my tent. I made sure to close the inner and outer zippers. I was sleeping alone in the woods after all, and you can never be too safe. At around 3 a.m, a loud thunderclap woke me up. When I looked around the tent, I discovered both the inner and outer tent doors were wide open. I don't know if it was the wind or something else, but it totally creeped me out. That was by RJ 250871. How in the hell does a wind supposed to open a zipper? Come on. I mean, if it's the outer and inner, the outer is a panel and the inner is a screen. So, I mean, if it was just wind tension pulling the outer one, maybe that could unzip it a bit. But the inside one? Nah, I don't believe that. That doesn't even make sense. But I know some people don't want to say, hey, look, it's a ghost or something, but you don't know what it is. But that's awful creepy. Something was in your tent. Number 88, a long-distance call. I was reading in my laptop in the bedroom when suddenly I heard my best friend calling my name, and it sounded like she was talking through the phone. I looked around for my phone, thinking she's called and somehow one of my siblings has answered and was hidden the phone somewhere in the room to prank me. But things got very weird very fast. No phone around, no siblings, and meanwhile my bestie is still talking. Answer me! Why aren't you talking? She then goes silent. I get really nervous and start crying and ask my siblings if they have something to do with this. I then start to wonder if I'm going crazy and hearing voices. They all try to console me, and later I find my phone downstairs, not anywhere near where I had heard the voices coming from. The next day I tell all my friends about the experience, and my bestie says that she did in fact call me last night. She claims that I did answer, and then she kept calling my name for a couple of minutes, thinking I was playing with her, until she eventually hung up. Oh, God. To this day, I don't understand how the phone was answered, the call on its own, or how I was able to hear my friend's voice from all the way upstairs. That's by Cheese Doodles Gal. Well, that's plenty creepy. The ghost was channeling the voice of her friend, maybe. I don't know. Number 89, Crash Landing. When I was little, I had a wooden doll crib that rocked. It was maybe about 1.5 feet long, and I kept it on the other side of my room from where my bed was. One night I had one of those dreams where you feel like you're falling and it wakes you up. When I woke up, I made a disturbing discovery.
The crib was sitting on top of me, on my chest and abdomen. Now, I feel like this is an important detail to add. I sat straight up when I woke up from the dream, and the crib fell off of me onto the floor and made a really loud noise. Some people have proposed that it might have been sleep paralysis, but I've never experienced sleep paralysis before or after. And if it had been, I don't think I would remember the crib falling onto the floor. Yellow green bean. No, I don't know what sleep paralysis has to do with this. I mean, the person had the falling dream. Everybody's experienced that, right? I mean, I have those every once in a while. It's like you're kind of drifting off to sleep, and then suddenly you feel like you're falling and you jolt, like you've hit something. Sometimes I'll dream like I'm walking on a ledge or something, and then I fall, and like I got a leg on either side, and I take the full groin hit of the rail that I'm walking on, and then I jolt awake. But I mean, that's happened to me a few times, but I mean, that's not sleep paralysis, and not like I couldn't move. It was like something brought me out from a deep sleep and just like boom. And so to wake up and then have a crib sitting on top of you, I mean, how the hell does that have to do with sleep paralysis? That doesn't make sense to me, but something, I don't know, some kind of trickster or poltergeisty kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe some manifestation, temporary manifestation. I mean, the problem with these stories is they're just little snapshots. You don't have the ability to have any kind of background or information. I don't know if the activity in this place was prevalent. Was this person experiencing more things? You get a million questions in your mind. That's like, well, what the hell is going on? But I guess we'll never know. Anyway, you don't usually wake up with cribs on top of you. It's just not normal. So number 90, when Charles is not in charge. I see what they did there. An old TV show called Charles in Charge. Scott Baio was the Charles guy. That was a cute show back in the day, but good Lord. One time in the middle of the night, I heard someone scream my name. They just suddenly screamed, "Charles!" at the top of their lungs. Well, nobody was there, and my parents were both asleep. Later that same month, my dad was making coffee, and he heard me whisper in his ear, "Dad." But when he turned around, nobody was there. I have zero recollection of doing this. I have sleep paralysis a lot, which may explain the first one, but I have no idea how my dad heard me talk to him while he was working in the kitchen. I don't believe in ghosts, but this does creep me out. There was no idea who to attribute that to, as it's permalinked, but I don't know. That's a creepy one. There's an old belief that circles around if you hear a spirit calling your name, don't answer it. And I don't know exactly why. I don't know if that's encouraging it, if that's like an acquiescence or an acceptance of the fact that a spirit is presenting itself to you, and then you answer it. That kind of lets it continue to come forward or closer or to empower it. I don't know. But there's some wisdom behind that you don't answer them. Now, a lot of times those calls are mimicked, and they sound like they're coming from someone that would be calling you, like your mom or your loved one or your significant other. And then you answer, and then you look around and they're not even home. And so those are tougher ones, because of course you're going to answer. Who doesn't answer their mom? Come on. Everybody answers their mom, or your wife. Of course you're going to answer your wife. So yeah, that's a little trickier version of that, but yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm not sure, but that is the belief. If something is calling your name, ignore it. Don't answer it. So if any of you know what that means or why, let me know. I'd love to hear any insights into that. But that's the standard wisdom. Also, another standard wisdom, if something's knocking on your door in the dead of night, don't open the door. Look out a window. If no one's there, don't open the door, because a lot of people open the door and you may very well be letting something in. And that's not good either. So next one's a real short one. Number 91, a hair-raising sight to behold. Just today at the mall, I saw at least 10 men in the exact same bleached haircut in the food court. I think the universe character generator is broken. Leggy the Spider wrote that one. That's an interesting take, because I've often wondered that. sometimes you hear the whole simulation theory, and the simulation theory is basically that there are organic consciousnesses, and then there are NPCs, or non-player characters. They're basically not an organic consciousness. They're attached more to the simulation, and they play a role. Much like when you're playing a video game, like for instance, World of Warcraft. You'll go to these villages, and there's people that you can talk to, and if you click on them, they'll say some pre-programmed lines, and then they get irritated the more you click on them, and it gets kind of humorous, but they're not able to really interact with you, or the quest givers and such. But they're not actually living characters. They're not living players. They're just people built into the simulation. So is it possible that if we are indeed in a simulation, that some of the presences that you come in contact with are not actually an organic spiritual presence? They are just some manifestation of the quote-unquote simulation. And I swear to God, I've met some people that would definitely qualify, because they just they got the personality of a taco. It's just like, really. You just wonder, how did you make it this far with no personality whatsoever? And you wonder, I don't know, but could it be that we're surrounded by not only organic presences, but perhaps non-player characters as well, or these ingrained manifestations of the simulation? So you be the judge. I don't know. I'm just telling you what things I've heard. All right, let's go to the next one. In the Hole. How many are left? Let's just keep scrolling here. Yeah, it just keeps growing. Never mind. I thought we were getting towards the end of this thing, but it just keeps growing. So In the Hole, number 92. When I was a kid, there was this house right before the entrance to my subdivision that was in this super deep valley. I remember calling it the house in the hole, and thinking about how much it must have sucked when it rained, and how great of a sledding hill those sides would make in the winter. Then one day we were passing it, and there was no valley. It was at the same level as the road. Well, I asked my mom what happened to the hole, and she has no idea what I was talking about. To this day, even though I no longer live in that area, I always stop and take a look at that house whenever I drive past it, just to check if there's anything that could explain what I had been seeing. That was by Logic to Insanity, a Redditor. Yeah, is that a chance of somebody making a slip into a sister dimension? The whole multiverse theory comes up a lot in discussions about like the Mandela effect. The idea that, well, a mirror on the wall, or magic mirror on the wall, to, when the lion lays down with the lamb, to when the wolf lays down with the lamb, all these different little variations. Sometimes they appear to be the way things are. Like, there didn't used to be a building there. How's there a building there suddenly? Or where'd that building go that was there? It's now gone. And so I think all of these are examples of Mandela effects, though usually the Mandela effect is equated to those things that we remember that are somehow changed. The Berenstein to the Berenstain Bears, that kind of stuff. Those are more pop culture references. But I think it's the same phenomena when it's things that aren't here that were here, or things that are here that weren't here suddenly just popping into reality. So are we popping in and out of different dimensions and don't realize it? But there's little granules of proof like that. Like there's no house in the hole anymore. So I think it's possible. I think that's perhaps we always hopscotch through dimensions in our existence. Maybe it's the whole multiverse and our ability to make choices that move us from one existence to the other. And in this myriad of possibilities, that perhaps we are the one constant, our consciousness. But as we choose things in life that bring us down different pathways, we then follow those pathways, which are actually manifestations of physical realms or dimension. Could it be? Just food for thought, folks. I don't know. That's way out of my pay grade, but it's interesting to think about. 93, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I was going through my grandma's pictures after she passed, and we found a picture of what appeared to be my husband's mom posing with my grandma. Well, this couldn't possibly have been his mom, as they didn't know each other at all at the time, but it looked just like her, and that's not all. According to the note on the photo, this person also shared the same first name as his mom. And no, we aren't related. Yes, we've had our DNA analyzed. It's by Mrs. Jane Doe Eyes. So, yeah, that'd be creepy. Are we cousins? Are we cousins? No, we're not. Okay. Number 94. I think we'll read one or two more, and that'll be it. Stairway to Heaven. One time, many years ago, I was going down the stairs in my house and went past my brother along the way, who was coming up the stairs at the same time. I said hi to him, and he sort of mumbled back to me. I then arrived downstairs and walked through the kitchen, only to find him standing there. Ooh, doppelganger. How the heck could you possibly explain that one? Doppelganger. Just going to go out on a limb and say doppelganger. Again, could those also be a point in and out of a dimension, or just a skip, like after the point of seeing that person? Could that be where this person transitioned to another dimension where the brother didn't go upstairs? They're still in the kitchen. Is that indicative of that, or is it just a mimic? Is it a spiritual mimic taking the form of somebody, or is it a thought form, a tulpa? I mean, there's so many possibilities. This is the kind of the madness of this whole topic, is that there's so many ideas. And all of them are just as valid as the other ones. But I always think about that. It's like, well, what is that? What is that? So could these doppelganger instances, because a lot of times people used to equate doppelgangers with omens of death. You know, well, if you see a doppelganger of yourself, you might be going to die. Well, maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. But if you see a doppelganger of someone else, does it mean they maybe are going to die? Or is it just there's something pretending to be the person you know and love? Or is it something else? Is it just a dimensional transition that was kind of like, oh, you passed him, but hey, here in this dimension that you just arrived in, he's in the kitchen. I don't know. No way to explain any of this stuff, I'm afraid. So this will be the last one we'll read, and this is special guest number 95. As a kid, I remember lying in bed at night waiting to sleep. I must have been about 6 or 7 years old at the time. My brother was in the other single bed fast asleep, and my babysitter was looking after us. The babysitter was our older cousin. As I was laying there, I distinctly remember feeling someone or something tickling my feet. I know it wasn't my brother, but the bedroom door was fully locked and it never opened, so it couldn't have been my older cousin messing around either. A decade later or so, I was talking to my mom, and we were just generally chatting about weird things that happened to us over the years. She mentioned that she once heard me as a 5-year-old chatting away in my bedroom and giggling. As my brother was out with my dad at the time, she went to see what was going on, what I was doing, and what she saw made her freeze in her tracks. She said I pointed to the chair in the corner and said I was talking to the old lady with the glasses. Well, there was no one sitting in the chair at all, according to her. She said the worst part was that there literally was an old lady in the family that used to live in this house. She passed in that very bedroom, and that was her chair. The family had left behind from when we recently moved in. I don't remember my alleged chatting with the older lady, but I 100% remember the tickling of feet. The chair was in the corner of the room at the base of the bed. And part of me wants it to be just my cousin messing around with me, but I just know he wasn't in the room. Wow, that's pretty wild. Wouldn't that be something? Eric says, it's the light of Venus bouncing off the swamp gas, a misidentified bear, or Don's beard. Could be all of the above, Eric. You're right. There's no quick and easy answers in any of this. Huh. So I don't know. I think a lot of these could just be like multiverse switches. You know, I don't know. I think there's something to that. I can't explain it. I don't know how it works. But it just seems like there's so much oddities that seem to be related. The houses that appear or disappear, the places that come and go, the people that come and go. It's just very bizarre. And I think maybe there is something to that. Maybe that's a tie-in for several of these phenomena. It's just blending from one manifestation of reality to another. And one of the things, again, that it spawns is the Mandela effect. We have little discrepancies between the world we were in and the one we're in now. But sometimes they're discrepancies of a much more profound magnitude or a lesser magnitude. I swear, feels like we're in a different dimension nowadays with all the weirdness going on in this world. So I hope we can get back to the one we left, because man, this one's got me uncomfortable. So those are some great stories. I hope you guys enjoyed them and had a good time. I should look at the clock. 8:12. We're doing pretty good. Doing pretty darn good. Miss Deb, you're going to bed. Have a good night, Deb. Thanks for coming in. Old Spirit Art. Karen, that's cool. You're throwback to her. Okay. Old Spirit Art is a new name. We should do some shout outs. If you want a shout out, if you're interested in having your name shouted out, please type something in the chat so that I can do that. Of course, Deb is leaving. So good night, Deb. And I'll pull up the participants list and we'll see just who's here. I know there's way more here than are listed. There it comes. It's coming. You got to type in order to get a shout out. There it goes. It's expanding a little bit. Expanding more. Keep going. You're doing great. Just say hi in the chat. That'll help a bunch. All right. So let's get started here. First of all, we got Bertie Cuda, 1978. Cruzieth Maximus is in here. Deb is here, but she's heading out. Good night, Deb. Eric is here. Good to see you all. Grumpy Owl is here. John Stevenson is here. Karen Alberding is here. And Maggie M10 is here. 4 members in a row, alphabetically listed. Marie Daniel is here. How you doing, Marie? Midwest Night Watchers is here. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming in. Old Spirit Art is in here. I'm here. RJ Windwalker's here. Rachel Gets It Right is here. Ron the Sage is here. Ruthie Castro is here. Stephanie Vaughn is here. The Unknown, Tracy Benna, and Wizard Moon 13. Thank you guys. That's who's chatting currently. Oops, what the hell? There it goes. Okay, took a minute to refresh. You're expanding. Yikes. All right, Renee Cruz is here. Did I say Renee before? Good to see you, Renee, as well. Renee's been with us for a long time. Yeah, Maria, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Midwest Night Watchers, yeah. That's a show I was just on recently, as a matter of fact. That was a lot of fun to talk with them and had a great conversation. So, absolutely wonderful people. So check them out as well. They are out there on the YouTubes. The YouTubes are many. But let's see, what are we going to get to now? What am I going to do? Oh, there's this one I wanted to get to too. This one is a Yahoo Life article and comes from BuzzFeed. And these are, it's all, okay. All right, I just got to make sure, okay, that's just a Addy kind of thing. I just got to double check and see what's going on here. Okay. So we're going to hit this one. And this is an article from BuzzFeed again. Yahoo Life. And this is 18 paranormal events from people who experience something extremely creepy with their own eyes. And this is a big nope from me. And I don't know who to attribute it to because it's just BuzzFeed. But whoever wrote it, fantastic job. And thank you so much. So the first one is, let's see, number 1. So they asked the BuzzFeed community to share an unexplained experience that still gives them the creeps. To this very day, people delivered some of their eeriest tales. Here are some of the most spine-chilling responses below. Number 1, as a small child, our house caught fire. My mom was downstairs and my older sister and I were asleep upstairs. Upon waking up, my sister and I headed to the top of the stairs. My mom was at the bottom screaming for us. A man came up and grabbed us, threw us over his shoulders, and carried us down to my mom. We got out of the house, and my baby sister perished. Many years later, when my older sister and I were snooping through an old family album, we came across a photo. We each recognized the photo of the man that had carried us down those stairs that night. We brought the photo into the living room and showed our mom and asked who this was. She told us it was her father, who died a year before they were married. My sister and I were saved by the ghost of our grandfather. Wow, that's beautiful. That's the way to haunt, right there. That's the way to haunt. If you're going to be present somewhere, be useful. Number 2, I worked in an art museum right after I graduated college. The building the museum was housed in used to be the city's old jail. It was built in 1906, so it's old. I was closing down after an event one night and went upstairs going through the galleries, turning off the lights. And I went to shut down the kitchen, and my back was turned to the gallery. After I shut the doors, I turned around, and a woman in all black came racing through the gallery to the back hallway. And I said something like, "Oh my God, you scared me." But she didn't acknowledge me. I just assumed she was part of the catering staff and had forgotten something upstairs. I went back downstairs and asked the volunteers if the lady upstairs had come down yet. They looked at me very confused and said, "No one was upstairs but you." I then went to the loading docks to let the catering company know they had a staff member upstairs still, and they kindly informed me that everyone was loaded up into the van. There's no possible way whoever was upstairs could have come downstairs without the volunteers seeing them. I still kind of brushed it off until I was able to get everything locked up, get in my car, and call my boyfriend, where I then proceeded to scream at the top of my lungs because I was so freaked out. Other staff members had plenty of creepy stories to share, and right before I quit, a paranormal investigation team emailed me to see if they could spend a night in the museum. Yeah, well, it sounds like it'd be a great location. Imagine, just think about the fact that items can have imprints, and then just think about how powerful a museum would be. Because, some of those items are hundreds of years old, if not more, thousands. I don't know what kind of items they had in there, but still. Number 3, I was sleeping one night and got woken up by covers being pulled down to my feet. It was in the middle of winter and cold in the house. I screamed, and it stopped. I sleep with a nightlight now. I don't blame you. I think I would too. Number 4, after my mom passed away years ago, and we returned from where she lived out of state, I had the strangest thing happen. The evening when I was in bed, I was very sad and depressed over her loss, and I was on my side facing one direction, and suddenly a bright light appeared behind me, only illuminated behind me, and never showed light anywhere else in the dark room. Well, I was afraid to turn around, but for years I had wished I had. Who was it? Was it good? Good or bad? I watched many ghost hunting programs and never heard about my experience. The light stayed for perhaps a minute, and whoever it was directly behind my back since I was on the edge of the bed. Wow. Well, that's a beautiful thought. Maybe it was the mom, If she was thinking about it, maybe she was putting that out there. Man, my eyes are still burning. Number 5, I was around 13. It was a beautiful summer afternoon. My dad came home from work, and my 3 siblings ran to greet him in the kitchen because he often brought home treats. I remained in the living room watching TV, but after noticing that my siblings hadn't returned, I walked toward the back door. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my little brother standing still in the middle of the basement steps, which were across from the back door. I started down the stairs, and he suddenly rushed down the stairs. And he suddenly rushed down the stairs. On the second he reached the bottom, he made a tight turn to his right and disappeared. Oh. So what? So it was Dad that was on the stairs going in the basement and then just disappeared. Oh, okay. I got it now. That's creepy. Yep, that should probably leave a mark in your psyche for the rest of your life. All right, number 6. Oh, there's more to it. It says there's a wall there with a door a few feet away. I didn't stop to think how he disappeared so quickly and went through the door to the area behind the stairs. There was nothing but boxes and old stuff, and I called out his name, and suddenly the basement lights went out. I charged back up the stairs, and my siblings were all in... What in the hell's up with this article? Good God. My siblings were all in the living room looking at me like I was crazy, a look of shock plastered on my face. I interrogated my brother, who had been outside the whole time. My other siblings vouched for him. They were truly concerned about my state of shock, so I confessed my sighting, to which freaked them out. Fast forward 30 years to this past July. I'm back home for a family event, and we're out at a venue, and I asked one of my cousins who traveled from out of state if she's staying at my sister's house with 5 other cousins, and she was. I told her the bedrooms in my dad's basement were available. Yeah, right, I'm not staying there, she said, with a weird smile plastered on her face. When I asked why, she said that when she was 12, a bunch of us were all lined up to get food at my house. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a boy, me or my little brother. When she fixed her plate, she turned and saw the boy walking into the basement, so she followed him. She got to the bottom of the stairs, and the room was completely empty. Yeah, that was by Plants. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of creepiness in one stairway. Okay. Not a good story. I mean, it's a great story, really, but it's creepy. Number 6, I was up late watching TV one night, and the TV was hooked up through the stereo system, and all of a sudden the sound cut out. And slowly the sound of a heartbeat came through the speakers, building up louder and louder, and then suddenly stopped. The normal TV sound came back on after a few seconds. This was pre-Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so there wasn't any way something outside could have tapped into the system. Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of things nowadays that can interfere with our setups with Bluetooth and wireless and such. But yeah, before then, that stuff was truly, truly profound. Number 7, I went to East State Penitentiary for their Terror Behind the Walls. I never ran into anything that day, but I woke up the next morning with a massive bruise from my hip to my knee. Yeah, that's creepy. Number 8, I was at my ex-boyfriend's house, and I was there all alone. When I was walking back to his room, I heard someone sitting on the bed in his brother's room, as clear as day. It was at the point where I said the brother's name and walked in there to see if he was messing with me. It was one of the creepiest things I'd ever experienced. It was by someone anonymous from California. Number 9, my best friend in middle school invited me to a sleepover one night. Her entire immediate and extended family lived with her, so the house was always busy and fun, and it was a great gathering place. I always felt welcome. After a really great evening with her family, we went up to the loft upstairs to sleep. In the middle of the night, I woke up really thirsty, so I went downstairs to the kitchen to get myself a drink of water. I was half asleep, but while walking through the living room, I noticed her grandmother was sitting in the rocking chair, eyes wide open and staring right at me. She had a blank expression on her face, and I was freaked out. And there's more, and it's all micro print. I got my water and went back upstairs as quickly as I could in the morning. I told my friend about this, and she stared at me with a confused and scared expression on her face, and I said, "What's wrong?" She replied, "We don't have a rocking chair." Sure enough, we both went downstairs, and the chair that I had seen was nowhere to be found. She went on to tell me about several haunted experiences she and her family had in that house since they moved in. It was definitely a weird experience. That was by Christeria, Washington. Yeah, creepy. Yikes. Number 10, I was up late one night in the house while everyone else was asleep. I was watching some show about the paranormal when suddenly the wall by my bed was being banged on like someone was hitting it with a hammer. It was pitch black, and the banging lasted a few seconds, but it freaked me out for over a decade. The sound was coming from outside as if something was out there. After looking out the window, nobody was there. That was by Vexed Easily. Yeah, that would make you vexed for sure. For sure. Number 11, I was driving home after dropping my husband off at work, and I was behind a truck with ladders strapped down to it. Suddenly, like watching a movie, I saw a ladder come undone and fly off the back of the truck towards my windshield. I came to realize I had some kind of weird vision as all the ladders were still on the truck. Still, out of caution, I switched lanes, and as soon as I did, the ladder came off the truck just as I'd seen. Had I not changed lanes, it would have hit my windshield, possibly killing me. I can't explain what happened, but it gave me serious Final Destination vibes. I've had an experience like that. Not exactly that, but, and it's one I've shared on the show, I think maybe a long time ago, maybe even more recently. I can never remember all of the experiences I've shared on the show, but this one was kind of interesting. I was a single parent at the time, but I had my son Oliver with me, and Oliver and I would always walk down to our local grocery store, which was literally a block and a half from the house that I lived in. And so he and I were walking hand in hand down the sidewalk, and we come out of our house, and you go down these like 4 stairs, and then you're on the sidewalk. The house is on a corner lot, but the ground is kind of sloping downward, the street and everything. So the house corner of the lot is built up on a brick wall. But as you go up, that wall disappears and becomes flat, and so on and so forth. But the whole front of the house and all of the houses down the block have that block wall on the front. And it's, maybe 3 feet tall, maybe 3.5 feet tall. So Oliver and I are walking hand in hand, and he's all of maybe 2.5 or 3 years old at the time. And the neighbors had this beagle, and it was about 2 houses down. And I was walking with him, and I'd seen this beagle for years. It was always one of those beagles that would bark, and, just annoy you, but it was just never really thought twice about it. It was out on its chain that day, and it could hear us coming and started its barking thing. But it was barking and like charging at the same time. And I just had this vision of the chain that it was on breaking, and this thing coming after us and after my son. So I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And so I'm holding his hand, and sure enough, as we're just right, maybe a step past that dog, suddenly I hear the clink of that link breaking. And I immediately look over to my right, and there's this dog coming. And it's like, it's jumped, and it's fully in the air, coming across with its jaw open, heading towards my kid's head or neck or something. And in one smooth motion, as it's drifting by, I pulled my son by one hand off the ground, and I'm pulling him in a circle. And as this dog is coming, he's lined up perfectly. I kick it and send it flying and rolling, and I do a complete circle with my son and put him down perfectly. It was just like, my God, it was like a Spider-Man moment. I don't know what else to say. It was just, my hands were guided for sure. Like Jesus took the wheel on that one is all I'm saying. I'm not taking credit for this, but that's exactly how it happened. That dog hit the ground, rolled, yipped, and ran home. And I was like, oh my God, but it was coming for him with its mouth open, like it was going to grab him by the head or neck. And I don't know, it at least would have bit him, but it was horrible. But it was just that premonition of that vision of seeing it break. And then sure enough, like 5 steps later, I heard that sound and instantly knew what was going on. And I pulled him up, and that thing was flying right in front of my body. And I planted this epic kick into its gut, and it flew about 5 or 10 feet away, rolling and yipping. And then it ran back home. But I was like, oh my God. And then I finished the circle and put him down, and he literally had no idea what just happened. He just thought I just spun him around in a circle and was like kind of chuckling or laughing. But it was just one of those amazing moments. And I don't know. It was, thank God is all I can say, but that's a true story. That really did happen. It was pretty crazy. Oof. Yeah, it gives me chills just to think about it still, because I'm not a clumsy person. I have some, I used to have some real, physical ability, but my God, everything was just lined up perfectly and executed just perfectly. And that's why I say the Spider-Man moment. It's like, watches the punches come by, and he just kind of goes, oh, Look at that. That's what that moment was like. Everything slowed down and it was just like bullet time from the Matrix or something, but it was great. I'm so thrilled that it worked out the way it did, but it was just weird. I had the vision first and then pow, it happened. And it was like, man, that was an incredible moment. I wish we always had that kind of foresight and that brilliant reaction time and, this moment of absolute perfect clarity. But, it was just, thank God then. So true story. Very, very, very cool. But absolutely, when I thought back, I was like, because afterwards my heart's just, yeah, man. Yeah, true story though. All right, let's go to number 12. I recently had a dream about a classmate from elementary school that I hadn't seen in over 20 years. The next day, I saw that he had been arrested, and I hadn't thought about this guy in years. The timing of it was just so odd. Yeah, those are cool stories. That was by what? Emlens S or something? I don't know. Whatever that name is, Emlens S. Very cool story, though. Number 13. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a woman crawling on my wall. It's like, yeah, that's horrible. That's already horrible. I haven't even read the rest of it. I think Toni Collette in Hereditary. She stopped crawling when I sat up and we both froze. She was twisted, contorted, and possessed looking. I was fully awake and didn't take my eyes off her as I reached up and fumbled for the chain to the ceiling fan light above my bed. As soon as I turned on the light, she vanished. This was a studio apartment in a major city, so there was enough light from the street that I could fully make her out. I was in shock and just sat there, clenched the light switch chain for several minutes, trying to rationalize what had just happened. That might be a great time to head over to my TikTok and check out my recent video on cleansing. Yeah, there's something lingering there, man. That's creepy as hell. I mean, I'm all for the friendly visitors and stuff, but friendly visitors, I don't think usually act like, enormous twisted insects on our wall. That's usually something much more tormented and twisted. Maybe it's me. Maybe they do crawl around like that all the time, but I don't think so. That's already a big red flag. All right, number 14. When I was a kid, I would see or hear things like apparitions, meows from my beloved dead cat, etc. I was also always scared of what was under my bed, to the point that when I would turn off the lights, I would do a running jump into my bed to avoid coming close to the bottom gap. When I was around 7 or 8, I was dead asleep and lying on my stomach with my feet under the blankets, and one of my feet was in the gap between the bed and the wall. When I woke up out of a dreamless heavy sleep to the feeling of a hand wrapped around my ankle and pulling me down the bed at an angle. Oh, dear God. I found my face off the pillow and down the bed by about a foot. So the person's head was off the pillow already by a foot. Okay. And it was a quick yank. I immediately got up, bolted out of my room and into the hall. My parents didn't believe me and didn't find anything under the bed, but considering I rarely cried even as a baby, they were concerned at my uncontrollable wailing. More than 20 years later, I still refuse to put my foot between the bed and the wall. That was by Molly from Nevada. Yikes, Molly. That's creepy. That's time to cleanse your house, too. Number 15, when I was a kid, my mom would put me to bed in a room shared with my older sister. I had the bottom bunk. I was so upset that everyone else got to stay up and watch movies while I had to go to sleep, so I laid in bed awake for a bit. While I was lying on my back, I saw these two big, red, glowing eyes appear and stare at me for a while right above me, even blinking at times. I was so scared of how close it was to me, maybe a foot from my face. It continued to stare, and follow my movements for a solid 10 minutes before the eyes closed and never reappeared. My mom tells me I must have been dreaming, but I know what I saw. It was real, and it was terrifying. Yikes. Yeah, that's something that's not good. That is just not good. Number 16, I was sleeping in my room, and I had a friend sleeping over on the sofa bed in the living room. Around 3 a.m., I felt someone sit on the corner of my bed. I opened my eyes thinking it was my friend, but no one was there. The bed felt like it had weight on it, and suddenly this invisible weight started to move toward me. And I was freaking out. I could see it moving. It took a lot for me to run into the living room, but when I got there, my friend was wide awake, sitting up on the sofa bed. I was startled at seeing them awake, and they said, "Hey, there's something in here. It woke me up." And they just looked at me with terror in their eyes. The next day, we got some sage and cleared the apartment. To this day, we can't believe it. That was by someone anonymous from California. So just as a note, as it does pertain to this, sage is great for lowering energies or just kind of baselining the energy of a place. It's not necessarily intended or to be used to expel negative energies. It can take down the energy of, that a dark presence might build up, which is therapeutic and good, but it's not probably going to kick something out. A lot of people say saging, and saging is important, but it's more just to kind of baseline the energy that builds up in a place just by living in it, just by going through your joys and your tears and your pain and all that stuff that builds up in our environment around us, our frustrations, our anger. So sage is a great way to kind of baseline that or flatline it and reset it, but it's not really intended to be a method of kicking things out. You got to include some other things. And again, just, follow whatever resonates with you as far as what those other things are. It can be used in conjunction with any of the other things and definitely help. But a lot of people are, believe that they just need some sage, and you go around and it makes things all better. Well, it will help, but it's probably more of a temporary fix than an actual cleansing. So just my 2 cents, whatever that's worth. Number 17, and then there's one more after this. When I was in high school, I was sitting in my bedroom. My dad and siblings weren't home, so my mom and I were the only ones home. I called my mom's name from the bedroom. The first time I didn't hear anything, but when I called her name again, I heard as clear as day, "I'm in the kitchen." So as I was going to find her, I opened my bedroom door to find darkness. All the lights upstairs, except for my bedroom lights, were off. I flipped on the hall light and made my way downstairs, only to find more darkness. All the lights were off because no one else was home. My mom had run to the grocery store and didn't tell me she was leaving. To this day, I still don't know who or what I heard answer me when I called her name. Someone that wanted you in the kitchen, apparently. Maybe it wanted a sandwich. I'm just being an idiot, sorry. Number 18, this should be the last one in this article. After my dad's retired from the military in Texas, we moved back to the family house. I was in the 3rd grade, and it was the first time I would have my own room. I was excited until the first night. My family still doesn't believe me, but every night, a nurse or nun would walk out of the closed closet doors and move about the room. If she ever saw that I was awake and had seen her, she would come inches from my face to terrorize me. I'd run out of the room screaming, but no one ever listened. Finally, after 4 years, I got to move rooms, and this room became an office. Even now, that room terrifies me, and my mom now tells me things in that room move or go missing. Yep, not my problem anymore, and no, I don't want to inherit the house. Just sell it. That was by Nicole from Georgia, so some great takes. Pretty creepy stuff. Wow. That's some horrific hauntings. Right there, some horrific hauntings. That's pretty crazy. Some great stories, though. So, again, doppelgangers, weirdness, creatures under the bed, the red eyes that are a foot from your own, or yellow eyes blinking. Yeah, that's some horrible stuff. I don't know what the hell, it's just like, I don't know if it's all diabolical, but it's definitely something screwing with people. Yeah, I don't know that it's all evil and, trying to destroy people, but I think some of these spirits just get a kick out of doing that. And honestly, sometimes people say things like that. When I'm a ghost, I'm going to come back and screw with people. Well, these might be some of those very same people. Not to say that what they were experiencing wasn't evil, or it was. I don't know. But I imagine, again, all we can do is speculate with this kind of stuff. But I imagine that maybe it gets really boring. Maybe it gets, if you're an earthbound spirit, or a spirit that's, for whatever reason, tethered to this plane, and I'm not suggesting it's always punishment or, horrible stuff. I just think that sometimes spirits don't move on, or choose not to, or maybe not yet, or they just continue to stay to work through things before they do finally move on. And so maybe it gets really boring and tiresome, so they just want to make things interesting. I don't know. But at any rate, there's no shortage of these kind of claims, and I just think I find it kind of incredible. Now, again, are every one of these stories legitimate? Maybe not. Maybe only a small percentage is, but even if that's the case, that's astounding. That's amazing. That means incredible things are happening and people are experiencing them. I have my own experiences, plenty of them. So I do not doubt a lot of these things, unless there's a narrative that just doesn't make sense. And that mostly comes by virtue of doing a show for so long and having read thousands and thousands of stories, that you get to see there seems to be a formula with a lot of this haunting stuff. There seems to be a formula that it seems to follow. And first of all, it seems very subtle, and then it's, progresses over time, and, some fearful things, some weird things, but it doesn't ever start out like, boom, it's just haunted. But generally speaking, these things start out and they seem to have a flow to them. But then every once in a while, I'll read a story that just doesn't match up to anything I've ever read before. Like most of the stories that I read, there seems to be a narrative or a flow to the information. In these shorter stories, it's harder because you're only, again, getting a little snapshot. You're just getting a little picture from whatever the whole mosaic is. But some stuff just doesn't make sense. Like I've covered many Twilight-y stories, or come across many Twilight-y stories of these, love affairs with ghosts and things like that. And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing those. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying it's just too much. It's just too much. I don't know. I just find that stuff really, really bizarre. So the movie Ghost Story came out a couple of years ago. It is interesting. It's a meditative experience to watch. People either hate it or love it. I've not heard of that. Ghost Story. Huh. I'll have to look into that, I guess. Is it a series or what? I don't know what that is, Rachel. Interesting enough. So what do we got for time? How are we doing for time? 45. We still got a few minutes, but not long enough to get into another article. So we're going to go back to some of these Glitch in the Matrix stories for the time being and just ride these out. Ride a few more of these out. And this one is Penny for Your Thoughts, number 96. I was once showering, and after about 10 minutes in the shower, I heard something ping and hit the floor. I looked down and saw a penny. Wow, that's an apport. I was pretty perplexed, as you can imagine, but I figured, whatever. I thought I'll just keep it, as I imagined it could be good luck. I kept the penny in my wallet for a few years in a zipped-up side pouch. I never really told anyone about it because it was just kind of pointless to talk about a random penny that I was superstitious about. So a few years later, while at a music festival, a girl in our tent woke up to find a penny a penny in her butt crack. Really? I don't even know what to make of that. Well, we all laughed it off as having a wild night. However, I remembered the lucky penny that I had in my pouch, and when I looked for it in the zipped pouch, I was shocked to find that it was gone. I told my friends about this, and they didn't believe me. I think they threw the penny away too, so I no longer have it, and I still to this day have no idea where this penny came from, how it ended up where it did, or where it is today. And that was by Actuarial. Okay. Yeah, penny for your thoughts. Ends up in somebody's butt crack. Are you serious? That's bizarre. That's kind of bizarre. 97 snack time. This is a short. No, it's not short. It looked short. It's longer. My daughter and I were on the couch one day when she was younger, and we had heard the sound of popcorn, like as if it was popping in a microwave. It wasn't a constant popping, but more like 1 or 2 pops every 10 seconds or so. Ooh, that's going to get burned. Then the entire living room filled up with the smell of buttered popcorn. We both smelled it, yet nobody was making popcorn. The microwave itself did not smell like popcorn. The smell was only observable in the living room. I went as far as to open the heating vents to see if there was a rogue bag of popcorn in there. If it was just the smell and not the sound or vice versa, I'd easily just explain it away. But since it was both, this is one of the strangest events that I've ever experienced. That was by 666ID or LD. LDD Hunter. I don't know what that means. Dungeons and Dragons Hunter? I don't know. LDD Hunter. That is weird. What is that? Maybe the spirits can make popcorn and stuff and sit down and watch a movie with you. Maybe they're like genies on the spirit world. They could just be like, oh, popcorn. And it pops and they can have popcorn. Wouldn't that be something? You just make things in your hand like, oh, I'm hungry. I want a snack. Just pow, there's a snack. Number 98, let's lock the door and throw away the key. So before my husband and I were married, we lived separately. He would come over and spend time with me and later leave at night, like around 11 or 12. We left one night out of my front door, which was 3 locks. There's a lock on the knob, a deadbolt, and then what I call a hotel lock. It's a lock where you flip the long piece over onto a short peg, and then the door can only be opened a few inches. Yeah, it's the chain lock, right? Okay. Or it's one of the stick ones instead of a chain, but yeah. Well, on this particular night, he left and used his key to lock the knob and the deadbolt, but I thought to myself that I should go lock the hotel lock too. I come downstairs and find that it's locked already. Needless to say, there was absolutely no way that he could have locked it from outside. I have no clue how that could have happened. Princess Bear wrote that. Yeah, there's the hotel lock right there, that picture. So it's like that slotted metal thing that slides over the bowl. Yeah, that's bizarre. So in that case, could it just be a spirit that's kind of a caretaker? Just sitting in the background, just making sure everybody's okay. I think that's cool. Number 99, I can see it in your eyes. My boyfriend's younger brother and I were taking a bike ride down the street to the shops late one afternoon. As we got onto the main road, we noticed a dude across the street heading in the opposite direction. He's walking with a limp. His head is bowed, and he's got a plastic bag in his hand. We're only a few meters away from him when he crosses the street onto our side. As the bro rides past him, the stranger lifts his head up and smiles in his direction as they pass each other, and I'm a little while behind, so I don't pay too much attention to this, and that is until the bro stops, turns around, and gives me a funny look, just as this guy is passing him by. I still don't think too much of it at this point, assuming he just stopped to let me catch up. As soon as I myself passed the stranger and made eye contact with him, I realized that this was not the case. When the stranger looked over and nodded at me, I saw nothing in his eyes. When I say nothing, I mean like black pits where his eyes should have been, or just an eyeball that looked entirely black. I don't know how else to describe it. When I finally catch up to the bro, we stop around that corner, and he says to me, "Did you see that?" I said, "You mean his eyes?" "Yeah, it looked like they weren't even there." And then we kind of just sat there for a while, processing what we had both just seen. Had the bro not related the same feeling and experience to me as I had felt when the stranger looked at me, I doubt I would have even thought anything of it. I probably would have just assumed it was the light angles playing tricks on me or some such thing. It was a sunny afternoon, so glare certainly could have played a part. He could have been wearing contacts, I don't know, but none of those explanations feel as if they fit. We got home later on and told everybody what had happened, but no one believed us. They still don't to this day. That was by KRNATTRASS. Yeah, a black eye like that, I guess. Yikes. I don't know. You definitely like to see things in people's eyes. You don't like to see black hollow pits where eyes are supposed to be. How are we doing for time here? Yeah, we got time for number 100, gut feeling. I was 17 at the time. Me and my dad had just finished our fishing trip, and it was almost midnight, mid-autumn. When I was about to get in the car, he told me he did not want me to sit in the front seat on the ride home. Well, we argued about it for about 5 minutes. He did not give any good reason as to why he did not want me to. Well, I gave up and got in the back seat. It was pitch black outside, and we had just been driving on the main road for about 2 minutes when we saw a car driving in our lane. Right as we were about to collide, my dad swerved into the other lane, and so did the car in front of us. And that's when I heard my dad say something that still haunts me. He muttered, "I knew it," at the very last second, and then I blacked out. I woke up when the ambulance showed up at the scene, and the EMTs helped me out of the car. I was barely conscious and don't remember much after that, but there's one thing that's still crystal clear. I saw my dad sitting in the car, waving at me with tears in his eyes. Later, when I asked where my dad was, they told me he had flown out of the car window and landed a few feet from the car. They had put him in an ambulance, but he didn't make it. And they also told me that the man we crashed into lost his life, but that's not all. He was driving with his 17-year-old daughter, and she only survived because she was sitting in the back seat like me. I still can't believe that this actually really happened. This was 6 years ago. That was by Fjellfile, or Fjellfille, Fjellfille. Wow. So, what was he doing in the wrong lane, though? The other dad, what the hell was that all about? But they both knew it. So both of them lost their fathers. Wow. But were only saved by that precognition, like get in the back seat. Huh. Thank God. Yeah, but that's a heartbreaker either way because, nobody wants to lose someone they love. That's totally tragic. I think we got time for one more here. I think. Okay. All right, this is 101 Childish Game. I used to work in a nursing home where I cared for dementia patients. Every patient on the hall I worked would steal spoons from dinner. Well, I got to the point where once a week I'd have to go through everyone's room and take back the spoons. It was the strangest behavior, so one day I just to ask why they were taking the silverware. Apparently the patients, all of them, took the spoons to give to the kids because they like shiny things. And I asked the patients about the kids many times, but never got a good answer. I'd hear things like, well, they just live here, or they stand outside in the snow and look into the windows, or they're my friends who visit. It would be so weird if they all didn't do it, but it was everyone. The ones who were still capable of speaking anyway. One time at 3 a.m, one of my patients started screaming, so I ran into her room and found her lying in bed seemingly fine. And I asked her, "What's wrong?" And she said, "That boy is here again, and he won't get out of my closet. I'm scared." I was like, yeah, me too, Dolores. That was by Danny Doodle. I know we've covered that story before, but that is wild. And that is actually the last one on this list. We finally made it through the list. Wow. Woo! It was an amazing thread of stories, though. Well done to moneyawaits.com for posting that article. That was a lot of fun. A lot of great stories. Sheesh. Sheesh. Live. What? Rocks. What is it? Live Anomaly Show Rocks by Brent. I had a blast. Well, glad you had a blast, Renee. Thank you. I had a blast doing the shows for you, as always. I love doing these shows. It's been 7 years of amazing fun and great times bringing you guys the paranormal. I know many of you are enthusiasts even without this show, but I'm so glad that you guys come here and take part in the show with me. It's about that time, folks. So I guess we're about out of time, but I would just like to say thank you to everybody for being here, being a part of the journey as always. And remember, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Take care of each other. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember how to laugh as much as you can. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked on my own thinking because I was like, wait a minute, do I have to do this? And I was like, no, I don't have to because the phones aren't connected. So anyway, that's how my mind works. But hope you all have a great week. We'll see you on Wednesday night. I'm putting together a giveaway for our members here on YouTube. So if you want to qualify for that giveaway, please become a member of the channel. And it's going to be a giveaway of a t-shirt. So I don't know about you, but it's the best looking logo in all of the internet, in my opinion. But we'll be taking care of all of that next week. Probably start promoting and collecting names on Wednesday. And then we'll probably do the drawing on Friday with Sheldon here. So anyway, tune in then. But remember, watch for the podcast. Comes out every Monday. And until then, y'all be good. And I'll see you next week. Week.